Happy 2024.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Literally
Exactly. Happy New
January
Year.
1st.
Welcome to Snowed in January.
And welcome to our first episode of the new year and our first special of the year.
Our first special of 2024 and the first of our 3 Snowed in anthologies.
So many firsts.
So many firsts. I was just thinking there are so many firsts that I read today that were my first time reading any of that.
Look at that. See? So maybe it's your
Just-
first time reading all these things, and we're going to be along that journey with you in one way or the
Take me
other.
on a journey. So, today we are reading the Snowed in Anthology, Volume 1. And for all of our specials this month, we are reading Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. We each decided to pick ones we wanted to talk about or ones we liked the story of. And that's what we're going to bring you today. You're welcome.
I apologize in advance because my breakdowns are not nearly as nicely wrapped up as Ariel's.
Same Z's. Ariel typically carries the team. I know her back hurts a lot from it, but you know.
You guys carry different things in different ways.
And because I am the chaos
Crystal
bringer,
tries to keep me from being banned, so.
I do. It's really fucking difficult, by the way.
Honestly.
I am the chaos bringer today in that
Uh-oh.
I did not tell Ariel what book I read and what book I'm going to
No.
discuss, but everybody else knows their books. So
Yeah,
Massive
so Crystal
anxiety.
decided she wanted to keep secrets.
here's why. Ariel specifically said at one point in time she really wanted me to come on the podcast with a book that she has not read and just tell her the story. And you know what? We're going to do it every single special this month. So you're welcome.
Wow.
I have a
She's
commentary.
giving you
Well, we'll find out,
everything
yes.
wanted and nothing you wanted at the
Everything
same time.
I always wanted.
I know she's so
not
fucking
really.
needy and wants all these things, and then when I give her the things, she complains. It's like never
Yes,
winning.
because she's the brat for all brats.
No, it's because she's a control freak and she needs to know everything.
And the brat for all brats. Yes.
That is true. I have known her for 20 plus years now, so
Well, both of these are true.
both of them can be true and exist in the same
Yes,
plane.
they're not isolated facts.
Okay. Well, I don't want to follow amazing.
I have a great and frustrating story. So,
I do too.
Oh, well, I guess it's a club, a smutty book frustrated club.
It is the blue balls frustration.
LOL. And not just because it's cold and they're snowed in.
stay tuned for Friday where you learn our new term, and it's fade to blue. Give you that little heads up into Friday's episode.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to follow their amazing descriptions, so I'm going to kick it off.
Yay, Angie!
Yay! My cowardice will get me in there first.
It's fine. I'm
Yeah.
like sweating because I have to do this. I fucking hate doing it.
It's less than a novella. You got this. We're just gonna roll with it, and I will be there to but that's why I like to read it too, because I can help
Too bad, so sad, bitch.
go along. But so you guys are on your own today, suckers.
Does everybody know what all the books were?
I know.
Would you like me
to?
to read the titles of the anthology for
Sure.
our audience?
Yeah.
So our Snowed In Anthology, Volume 1, this first one was a dark romance white shoes anthology. And these are the titles of the books that are in store. And if you have not already joined us on this journey and are still wanting to, this book is available on Kindle Unlimited as almost every book that we cover for the podcast. But also, it's only 99 cents and it goes to a charity. And 99 cents for an anthology? I mean, come on, craziness. All right, so these are the titles. A Naughty Christmas Fantasy, A Storm is Coming, Backwoods Blackout, Deadly Reservations, Captive for Christmas, Killing Snow, Snow Strings Attached, Hot Chocolate and Hitmen, Snowed In with the Mafia, Pucking Snowed In a Cell, Snow Angel, Wicked Luck, Snow Regrets, and Tinsel Bound. If you are new, welcome, first of all. But second of all, if you haven't been privy to all of our, I don't want to call them rants, but like maybe discussions about how this month is going to unfold.
Don't let her fool you. It's rants.
But This month for Snowed in January, all of our books are snowed in. And that's why this special and all of these anthologies are doing snowed in. These authors all got together to create a Why Choose Snowed In extravaganza because, in case you didn't know, the snowed in Why Choose trope is not proprietary. Just so you know. And I just want to note that the not so subtle use of tinsel, both in title and in usage throughout every book, is chef's kiss. So good
Nicely
job.
done.
Good job. I am just here for it
I just want a
because
happy,
bullying is wrong.
yeah, I just want a happy book talk community.
Yes,
Like,
we missed out on an awesome book, and that makes me real sad, especially since I genuinely enjoy that author and wanted to read it regardless, but had finally convinced Crystal to read a Why Choose book with me by that author. And she was excited for it because it sounded good. And then we got stepped on. We didn't get stepped on, but she got stepped on. And there are consequences for people's actions, and that blows. So here we are with Snowed in January because I am petty like spaghetti. Sorry, not sorry.
yes.
So welcome.
And now Angie is going to start us off.
Although my title did not have tinsel in it, tinsel was mentioned in the story, so there's that.
I feel like it was either in the title or mentioned within the story of every single one.
Yes,
I
it
think that was probably a
was.
requirement.
Yeah, honestly, it really was. So I read Pucking Snowed In by Des Sweet and Bree Rose. This short hockey snowed in Why Choose novella kicks off with three hockey players from the Polars team, Roman, the captain, and Xander and Kazan, as they arrive to a cabin at the top of a ski resort.
What is his name?
Kazan? It's like
Huh.
Kaysin.
Interesting.
When they arrive, they're on a call with their coach and they're swearing they'll be on their best behavior. Don't worry, they lied. This novella changes point of view every chapter, so we get a chance to look inside everyone's head. And while they're not all in love with our heroine, they're all extremely in lust with her. Love that for us. The boys are there for a photography shoot for their team calendar, which is their primary way of raising funds for their team gear. They're to go through two shoots. The first is for the regular calendar, and the second is a not safe for work calendar where they shoot in the nude.
I want that one.
Yeah, that's the one that really rakes in the cash. Non-surprisingly. This is where our protagonist, Emery, comes in. Emery hates athletes' personalities because she was bullied by them growing up in a trailer park. But she's a professional photographer now, employed by the resort. So even though she hates their personalities, she agrees to do both shoots. And because the world is a small place, guess who her main bully was? Xander. But don't worry, just because she's biased, that does not mean she's impervious to their charms. Yes, she does recognize that they're, quote, as hot as sin. So, that's I mean. So, when they first meet up, Xander is an asshole to Emery because apparently old habits die hard. And she remains professional and directs them to meet her at the skate rink at the bottom of the hill after the stylists come and fix them up for the first shoot. When she leaves the guys, they talk and get them up to speed. And Kazan, love that guy, he calls Xander out for being an asshole, and they all decide to be on their best behavior. If you're listening on the podcast, I was doing air quotes. The shoot at the skate rink goes by surprisingly well, with minimal barbs thrown in both Xander and Emery's direction. Afterwards, she sends them up to the cabin to get ready for the next shoot, and her boss calls in with a warning about the incoming snowstorm. She tells her
Dun,
not
dun,
to
dun.
worry because it's going to be fine. And cuts the call
Said no
to
one
find,
ever.
yeah, cuts the call to find Roman, the captain, stayed behind to help her pack up the gear. Oh, what a gentleman, right? No, wrong. He's trying to get her pants. We know this because this is POV. Okay, so they get packed up and they head up to the cabin as the storm progressively gets worse. That's when the real fun begins. So she decides to take a few photos of Roman while he's in the shower, since the other two are distracted in the kitchen. He gets her naked, and they almost end up fucking on the counter when Emery tells him
escalated
to
quickly.
wrap it up or get lost. In the heat
Like
of the
wrap
moment,
it up meaning wrap it up, or wrap it up meaning wrap it up?
like wrap it before you tap it. Get a condom
Yeah,
on.
okay, that's my
Yeah.
first one. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a holiday novella, so it could have several meanings at this point. Okay. In the heat of the moment, he tells her he's been clean and he's been tested, as is the protocol for pro athletes, but she's not having it, and she makes a snappy
If
comment
a woman tells you
about,
to fucking wrap it, you fucking wrap it.
yeah, that's her prerogative. But she gets like testy about it. She makes a provocative comment about how he probably uses that line with all his puck bunnies. And then Roman, for lack of a better word, humbles her, telling her that she's nothing special and nothing he's ever seen before.
So I'm guessing he didn't wrap it because he didn't get it.
Now, this is in her point of view, this chapter. This is chapter 8. This novella, by the way, has 13 chapters. And this chapter is in her point of view, and in her monologue, she admits that she finds him so attractive and so like she's so hot for it that if he wasn't being such a jerk about it, she probably would have let it go. But because he was being a jerk about it, she was about to turn him down right when the handle jiggles. And Kazan is on the other side of the door. Roman opens the door and she grabs her clothes from the pile on the floor and she books it. She runs out of the room, runs down the stairs, grabs her key from the holder, opens the door, and bam, she is met with an avalanche of snow. There is no way she's getting anywhere out. So she turns around and she tries to hurry past the group of them because, of course, they all gather to watch her butt naked staring at the snow because, idiot, you're not going anywhere. So she tries to get past them, and then Xander catches her in a throw blanket. And then they proceed to edge her to a point of near insanity, but they don't actually do anything with her. They just order her to get redressed so they can finish the shoot.
I would be so mad.
Yeah, she was
So please tell me she doesn't actually fuck any of these people.
It's a why choose book, of course she does.
She does, but the way that it's written, I really am making her sound more terrible than she actually is.
I'm not mad at her.
So she gets stressed, you know,
You're
and
making her sound like she don't have a backbone.
she doesn't.
Yeah, because she wants them to break her backbone.
Because she wants a different kind of bone.
Several different kind of bones. Anyway, so she gets stressed and they, get back to business when she gets an idea to do the Christmas shoot for the December page. So Kazan was in like elf footy pajamas and he's like, whatever. And then she's like, okay, let's do like that. And then Xander has like joggers. And then Roman shows up with a mistletoe ornament and nothing else. His ornament was adorning.
The only thing it can be hang on.
Yeah, that line was actually really funny.
That man sounds like a real treat. He sounds like just the kind of dudes that I would probably still bang because I have problems.
Yeah,
I would be
alert,
like,
he's
Crystal.
my favorite.
But then I'd be like, have you seen him? He's really hot.
You've really used that excuse for me before.
I absolutely
Dude,
have. I dated
Angie,
a felon.
She was right. She was dating a fucking felon. And I was like, Crystal, he's a felon. And she's like, but you haven't seen him naked. You don't understand.
Felons deserve orgasms too.
That was the first thing that came out of her mouth. You haven't
Okay.
seen him naked.
That's a fair statement. You haven't seen him naked. Maybe you would have changed your mind too. Okay, so Xander came down first, and he was in a pair of red flannel pajamas. So he got to wear the Santa hat, and then oh god, okay, Kazan was in his footy pajamas, and then Roman booms from the top of the stairs. Okay, I'm ready. This is in her point of view. He is still out of eyesight. I stand frozen, and the minute he steps into view, my face flushes as my thighs squeeze together. He is stark naked, with mistletoe hanging from a string around his neck.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was.
Because the mistletoe, you gotta kiss what's under the mistletoe. So if it's hanging from his dick, you can't really do that. So if it's hanging from his neck, next best thing is his dick's underneath
his balls
the mistletoe.
are underneath. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I would rather kiss the dick than the balls.
Yep. Yep.
One is a little bit more fun.
She's like, "Where are your pajamas?" Yeah, he sleeps naked, so he didn't have any pajamas and he didn't pack any.
I mean,
So
fair explanation.
yeah, yep. So she's like, "Where the hell did you get this? Where did you even find a mistletoe ornament?" Anyway, so she lays a throw blanket on the floor because she's like, "I'm sure the housekeeping staff doesn't want to touch anywhere your butt's been." And she grabs some tinsel and adorns his lap so that he is presentable.
I think every single time we say the word tinsel in this podcast, you should do that cheer, like, yeah, sound.
I can look into it. Or I can find like a tinkly noise.
So they, get to work. They're posing, giving each other presents. They get about 20 good minutes of work in before Emery's clumsy and she trips over something and ends up in Xander's lap. And she's like, "No, I'm getting away from you. I don't like you," and ends up facing the tinsel. So she's like, when in Rome, that was my own personal pun. You know, she commences. And then they all have a wonderful, completely consensual and steamy as hell orgy in the living room. And then they agree to give her a bath and cuddle her to sleep. And then
What kind
That's
of
the end.
orgy are we looking at here? Taking turns? Are they all doing it at the same time?
they're all with her, not with
Questions.
each other. So I believe it was Roman and Xander at the bottom, and they one whole double stuffed.
Oh,
And
together.
yes. And
Okay.
then Kazan was up here. And then once both of them at the bottom came, then Kazan switched and came also. So for a girlie that was super into like wrap it before you tap it, she had no complaints about
She
becoming
had
a Twinkie.
lots of stuffing.
She had no complaints about becoming
Honestly,
a Twinkie.
a Twinkie is so much easier cleanup than being a toaster strudel.
I would imagine so. I mean, your pH is going to be messed up anyway because
Well,
there's been
yeah,
something
so
in
you
there
gotta just
anyway.
shower,
You
but
might as
at
well
least
have some fun.
it's contained into one area.
But isn't it supposed to be good for your skin, like the outside skin?
Technically,
Apparently,
so, yes, but
So
a lot.
but that's
I
just
know,
because
but
Pros and
the
cons
actual
here.
material is made up of like proteins. So it's
Right.
like giving your skin protein.
it is. But you also got to be careful because if you get it in the eyeballs, it does not feel great.
Stings.
It stings really bad. And then
I've
you can get it
heard.
in your hair, and it's a mess. So it's easier, clean up. It may be more fun to be a toaster strudel sometimes, but it's more easier cleanup to be a Twinkie.
I would consent to be a toaster strudel neck and below.
I have
Yeah.
made that stipulation before. I am like, please do not put it on my face because then I will put it on your face, and I don't want that. I'm a bitch. I don't want it in my
And
hand.
somebody's got to get their beard wet. Anyway, yeah.
This conversation has devolved.
Anyway, so that was the end of that. We don't have Amazon or Goodreads ratings because these just hit the shelves. So,
And we're
you're
also
just
doing
gonna
individual stories too. So
right. So you're
Which
just gonna have to
sometimes they're
take our
available
word
on
for it.
Goodreads, sometimes not, and sometimes it takes a little while for them to.
Yep, you're just gonna have
Yeah.
to take our word for it. So I gave this a solid 4 because I liked most of the characters and it was well written and the scene worked surprisingly well and I could follow it along and I felt like the camera work was, on point. My favorite character was Roman, even though he was a bit of an asshole, because I'm just a sucker for the guy in charge and he was the captain. Aye, captain. So that's me. And my cucumber rating was 6.5 out of 10. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but still hot.
nice. That's good.
I am going to request to go next because mine ends kind of strangely, and I don't want to go out on that note.
Mine ends on a cliffhanger.
Mine too. That's why I was requesting that. Oh crap. So it
Okay,
is what it
okay.
is,
Question is, how dark is your
Yep.
book?
Oh, well, no, you haven't read it, so I'm going to surprise you along the way with my dramatics.
Has Angie read it?
No.
Which one is it?
Let's just say we don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay, what book did you read?
Hot Chocolate and Hitman.
It's fine. We can do yours. I'll do mine last.
I was going to say, now that I know we
Are you
both, it doesn't
sure?
matter. The only reason I wanted to not, because I have a cliffhanger, so it
Mine's
doesn't
a
matter to
little
me.
dark.
I feel like you're saying a little dark and underplaying it greatly. those
Well,
of you listening,
do you want to put up with my dramatics before you go or after you go?
You know
That's
what?
the
Why
better
don't we
question.
end on your dramatics?
Okay.
I like
I was
your
gonna say that's a
dramatics
better
lot.
question. How do you want to put up with my
I prefer your dramatics. So I read Killing Snow by Marie Rose.
intrigue?
Before I start, I do need to read the warnings ahead of time.
Me too.
So here are the warnings. If you don't want to read this, don't. And I apologize. Okay. Mentions of grape, physical abuse, assault, violence, explicit language, explicit sex scenes, including DP and blood play. This story ends on a cliffhanger, but will be re-released as a full-length standalone in 2024. Note,
I wish I had had that warning.
one of the male characters within this story has alexithymia, which is a problem with feeling emotions. This is mentioned briefly as part of the story, but not given a name. This will be discussed in more detail with the full-length re-release.
Note, want to read Killing Snow. Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm going to be honest, I actually enjoyed it, and now I want to read the full book because of how it ends.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So it basically starts with Everly. She is our FMC, and it starts with her in a cabin, and this dude.
Is it a murder cabin?
No. So it starts with her in this cabin, and the guy in the story right now is super, super drunk, and it does hint that the guy in this cabin has assaulted her in the past. So she's kind of stuck with the guy. And that she has also been raped by him quite a few times. So she is currently chained by her ankle in her room, and she is typically kept that way all the time. And the only time that she is not chained is when she is making him meals and cleaning the house. So this man also made her.
Stockholm syndrome?
No.
Okay.
She's his captive, I'm assuming.
This man also withdrew her from college. And so, yeah, he comes in, he unchains her, and he tells her to cook for him. And as she's cooking for him and she gives him the food, he yells at her and says he's not happy with the food and says, "What the fuck is this garbage?" And starts screaming at her and then backhands her and she falls to the ground. Then he also continues to beat the crap out of her. So this book starts off real violent, guys. So she's just sitting here like,
She probably should have learned what he likes.
Do we see him die?
I'm just kidding.
Do we see him die on page?
No.
Well.
So she's like freaking out because, he's beating the shit out of her, and she sees the frying pan from when she made food. And so she takes the frying pan
Rapunzel!
and bashes him. Nope. Bashes him right across the head. And then
That's what Rapunzel does.
It's a cast iron skillet in the movie, but yes.
So then
frying pan.
After she hits him in the face, he is like shocked a little bit, and then he does fall to the ground because, she knocked him out. So she is in tattered clothing, runs the fuck out of this cabin to try to get away from him. And, she's freezing cold because it is winter and there's snow and she doesn't have a lot of clothes on. And it is said that this dude from the cabin is her stepdad. There's that.
I was going to ask that when you said he unenrolled her from college.
Yeah. It's her stepfather.
That was going to be my question.
So her stepfather has spent many years since her mom died abusing her and raping her and doing all this stuff and keeping her captive in this cabin. So she's running out the door and she keeps walking because she's just trying to get as far away as possible. And then her vision starts to kind of go a little wonky because she's freezing, going into like hypothermia. And she keeps seeing shadows and visions in her side profile. And she's freaking out, understandably, because she's like thinking, what the hell? Maybe he's come back out or whatever. And then she just continues to start to see movements and her eyesight is still going dim. And then she falls into the snow. Then the next chapter opens up with Killian, who is one of the dudes, not the stepfathers. I do too.
It's always a good book name.
Killian is actually the guy with that emotion issue.
Cool.
Which it is kind of seen throughout certain things. So he finds her in the snow and he picks her up and carries her because he's like, oh shit, this girl is like passed out, not in great condition. I need to get her somewhere safe. And he brings her to his cabin, which is also housed by two other guys, Damon and Wraith, Rayth. Damon and Wraith and Killian. So he brings her, and the minute he walks into this cabin, Damon just goes, "What the fuck?" Like that is his immediate reaction. And then they see the amount of damage that is done to her body because she's been so abused and beaten. Like she's got bruises, she's
Neglect
got
for
cuts,
years.
she's
Yeah.
got like a ton of stuff like going on with her body. It's a bit intense. So then, they decide to unclothe themselves and unclothe her to warm her up because she's going into hypothermia and they need to like make her body warm. So all of them go into like a little
Group
cocoon.
hug.
Yeah, kind of.
Huddle.
Yeah. And it's not all of them, so it's just Wraith and Killian are doing the cocooning, one in behind her, one in front, and Damon is building a fire to warm up the cabin a little bit more, and then he ends up sleeping on a chair. What is so funny?
It's it's nothing real. It was me in my head.
Oh God.
When you went, Damon is building, all I was like, a snowman?
Oh my
Like,
God.
you want to build a snowman? And then I proceeded to sing the song in my
Oh
head.
my God. So
So, yeah.
she's out for a while. She wakes up and super, super confused, which rightfully so. Out of
Yep.
nowhere, you're in these random people's like fucking cabin. And she tries to sit up, and Killian just goes, "Shut the fuck up and lay still." She just lays down. And, Wraith is sitting there saying, "Oh, it's okay. You're safe. You're fine. Just relax. You were freezing cold. We brought you in here to take better care of you." So Damon is in the room, but he's about to leave. And so as he leaves, she kind of like shifts in the bed, and the sensation of her shifting against Killian makes him hard. And then she starts to blush. And he goes, "Keep still. You're in no state for me to fuck you like I would if given the chance." So this man, again, this is the dude, no emotions. So he just, he's a little aggressive.
Clearly he feels something.
Well, yeah. But then Wraith snaps at him, and Wraith really reels him in a lot of times. So they end up bringing her in food and warm drinks because obviously they need to continue to warm her up. And so they're like, "When you're ready, we want to hear your story." Except for Killian, and he goes, "All I want to know for now is a name. Can you give me that?" And she tells them her name is Everly, and he goes, "No, Angel. I need to know who did this to you. Who am I killing?" I'm like, "Oh." That is when she reveals it was her stepfather. And she explains, like, "I didn't think he was ever going to stop, and so I hit him, and then I ran." And this, of course, makes everyone super fucking pissed. So then all of a sudden, because it's snowing outside, they lose power. Because, this is a snowed in book, guys, and we need them to lose power. So they kind of just chill. The storm just rages for a few days. This kind of just like goes over, I don't know the actual time period, it just says rages for a few days. Every day she wakes up, they're all like warmly surrounding her and, giving her food and reassuring her and blah, blah, blah. She also sometimes tells them, "Hey, can you just talk to me until I fall asleep?" Then she discusses her mom's death and that she was in a pre-med program prior to her stepfather's abuse and prior to him pulling her out. We learn too that Damon is super into literature, Wraith is super into astronomy, and Killian is a man of very few words, and he really likes hunting and being out in the wilderness. So,
Hunting
yes.
men.
Yep. Yep.
Wrongful.
She sleeps and wakes up, and then when she goes downstairs, she finds Christmas decorations just, in piles because it's close to Christmas, by the way. And she decides to decorate the cabin because her mom was always huge on actually decorating. So she was like, "I'm going to do this." After all this, she falls back into sleep and she gets more nightmares. So she gets nightmares a lot because of all the abuse. And she kind of wakes up screaming in her sleep. And when that happens, they bring her into the shower. What is Ariel doing?
Wake up screaming from dreaming. One day life will lose all its meaning.
That's one.
I made one earlier, but y'all didn't catch it.
I'll catch it later and I'll be like, "That's two." And so normally when she has these nightmares, she goes into the shower, takes a shower, calms down. So this time though, she decided to go into the shower and just leave the door open. And
she's recovering quite quickly.
Well, this is days later. These are
I meant from her however long months of abuse.
Listen, there's reasons. There's reasons for it. She wants to be able to take the power back. And at one point with her stepdad, she had escaped once and actually got to sleep with a dude so that she knew what sex felt like without it being forced. And then the stepfather found out and pulled her back, and that is why she is consistently always chained and watched. It's a really fucked up situation. So she leaves the door open, and he goes, Everly, you're playing with fire. She goes, yeah, but what if I want to, Killian? And he goes, we're 3 hot-blooded men, and you're a beautiful angel. Don't tempt the devils in us to corrupt you. And she goes, maybe I want to be corrupted. Maybe I want to feel again. And he goes, Everly, we're not gentlemen. We can't be gentlemen. And we certainly don't fuck like gentlemen. We have our own demons. And then she just goes, I want to fuck whoever I want to fuck. And right now, that's not gentleman. And I was like, girl. So what does he do? Takes her out of the shower and throws her onto the bed.
Period.
And he's like, is this really what you want? And she's like, yeah. And
I just said that 3 times.
yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
I need this. And he's like going in and like making out with her. And Wraith, being the person that he is, checks in and he goes, Killian, please make sure that Everly is absolutely sure about this, because he knows that Killian can go a little bit too far and just start to lose control.
Because he doesn't have that like social.
Yeah, he doesn't have it. So they make sure, and she goes, yeah, I want this. I feel like I have a say. I'm taking back a piece of myself. And this part turned her on a lot. She's very turned on by these words. Interesting, but okay. They go into protection and she goes, I have an IUD. I put it in during college. Of course, obviously they ask if she's clean and she goes, I don't know. And Killian goes, I'm going to kill him. He is so pissed about this. And he goes, I am going to cut off his hands for touching you, cut out his eyes for ever looking at your gorgeous body, cut out his tongue for speaking words to make you doubt yourself. I'll cut off his dick and shove it up his own ass so he knows what it feels like to be raped. And I was like, oh, okay.
Even I'm
So
turned on by Killian a little bit. Like
Killian is obviously the favorite, yes?
Yeah. So then he goes, are you wet? Are you wet at the thought of me torturing your stepfather and killing him? And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on?
Yes, I am.
But then he goes, do you have a safe word? You need a safe word. What is her safe word? Tinsel. That's her safe word. So then he kind of just like goes into her. And Wraith is like, Killian.
Sorry,
He does. He just
kind of goes into her.
He does. No
He was
prep
like,
or anything.
bet.
He just, no prep. He just, and Wraith is like, Killian, you need to let her adjust. Relax.
Was he just sitting on the sidelines coaching? What the fuck, man?
They're all going to get it on. So yeah, because Wraith knows, and he just goes, you need to pause, let her adjust. Yeah. But then this happens, and Killian just, as he's fucking her, he just goes, I can't wait to see you covered in the blood of your enemies. I can't wait to fuck you as we bathe in the blood of those who have ever wronged you. Then she's like scratching down his back, and he goes, yeah, make me bleed for you, scratch me. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on?
Solid.
This is great.
He did say he liked hunting, so this is not surprising.
Yes. Yep. And so she really like digs her nails in there and gets some blood going, and then the blood starts dripping off of him onto her. And so they just rub the blood into each other. So he's spreading the blood on her.
Just
Wraith,
reveling in
yeah,
her
so he does
newborn.
it. And then Wraith and Damon climb into bed, and Damon starts spreading the blood all over her, and Wraith is spreading the blood all over. They're like, all 3 of them. Killian's fucking her, and the other 2 are just spreading the blood on her. It's interesting. So
they should
then
probably get that man some water, some electrolytes.
Probably
maybe some apple juice.
So then, after everything is all done, because, her nails are just like tearing into his flesh, finally, Killian just goes, I need to leave the room. I can't stay here or I'm going to fuck her again, whether she's ready for it or not. And he takes himself out of the equation.
Aw, love a man who knows his own limits.
Yeah. So then Wraith just says to her, do you need to use your safe word or can you take more? Because we're not finished with you yet. Because we all know Killian got his. The other 2 didn't get theirs yet.
And it's a why choose novella.
And why choose when you don't have to?
I know. So then, she goes, no, I'm good. I want to continue. So as Wraith is like starting to play with her and doing all this stuff, he kind of expresses that he would really love eventually for her to build up to him wanting to use a cane on her. because he thinks that she would love the look of the blood rush to the top of her skin.
Interesting approach to
And then
this
he does demand that she's going to squirt for
survivor
him,
that
and
they
that
just
is the thing that
found
is going to happen.
in the
Oh.
woods.
What's that, Ariel?
Okay. I said interesting approach to this survivor that they just found in the woods, but okay.
I mean, she's hot. Only
Yeah,
because he
okay.
says, "You're gonna squirt for me. I want you to cry like the little dove you are and cover my face with your cum. I'm going to drink it." I'm like, okay. These men consistently like that. So yeah,
Aye, Captain.
I know, right? So they do all that, and then because I guess she hasn't really done a blowjob, Wraith is fucking her. Damon starts talking her through giving him a blowjob, explaining it, telling her you need to open your throat, do all this other stuff. He just says, relax your throat and breathe through your nose. I want you to take every inch. And then he goes, next time I want you hanging off the bed and I'll watch your throat bulge with my cock. I'm like, God damn. Okay, we're doing this. This is great. I had a great time with this book, by the way. And then towards the end of this chapter, which is Wraith's chapter, it was kind of hinted as some things that they do because he just goes, it was the best feeling I ever felt, even better than killing people. Don't worry, that comes back. So now we're into chapter 6.
How many chapters are there?
There are 9. Damon ends up taking her afterwards and showering her, just taking care of her. And then she asks Damon to read to her. So he reads her a Christmas book so that she can go to sleep. So then a couple more days pass and the storm has now passed. And Wraith kind of asks her, would you like to go and see the stars? Because now it's clear enough that they can go outside and see everything because it's not snowing and all the stuff. And Wraith really loves astronomy and all the stars. So he does. He takes her outside and he kind of just explains a bunch of stuff and all the stars and like constellations. It was so cute. So then he goes, would you like to sleep in my bed or do you want to sleep in Damon's bed? And they end up actually everybody sleeping in one giant bed together, and it was adorable. So the next day they wake up and Killian tells her that she needs to learn self-defense because of everything that happened. And because she's small, he says, the first thing I'm going to teach you is how to shoot a gun because you need to do that. And she goes, can't I learn something that's not as lethal? And he goes, no, because when it comes down to it, you need that skill when it's life or death to know how to shoot that gun. So they start doing that. And then, of course, like she's being a little sassy and she like is like, oh, do I do it like this? And she catches Killian off guard and then knocks him to the ground and then straddles him during this lesson and lets him know that she wants him because she's starting to recover. She wants him to tie her up and they're going to tie her up with tinsel. She's like, I want to replace bad memories with good ones. Killian goes, my supplies are in the car. And Damon's like, my rope and zip ties are in the go bag in my car. And then afterwards, she's like, that, okay. But then they're like, tinsel. And she goes, that'll work. Can we also revisit this conversation again where you explain to me why you have rope and zip ties in a go bag? And so they do. The men tie her up with tinsel and they all start in on her. So you've got Killian's fingers in her. And again, she starts like getting a little too much. And so Wraith is like, hey, just like let her breathe for a second. Give her a minute. And Killian is just having a moment because he says, the taste of her makes me fucking feral. So this man, I do love him. He's a little on edge all the time, but it's okay. So yeah. Then Wraith like touches her by her ass. And she makes a motion. And he goes, no one's ever touched you there. And she goes, no. So he puts his finger in her ass. And Killian's just kind of hanging out there because, he had to dial it back a little bit. And then you've got Damon with his dick in her. And then Wraith decides that he's also going to put his dick in her. And they go 2 in the vagina.
Hey, that's 2 for 2.
It's 2 for 2, baby. And then Killian is fucking her face or fucking her throat. One of the two. We've got it all. It's pretty great. It's a good scene, I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot that went into this. And like it was good. The next morning, after all this happens, the boys wake up with their phones ringing and they're like, hey, we gotta go. We all have keys. We're gonna lock the door behind us. The only ones who belong here can enter. So you're safe. Like you're good to go. We're gonna leave. We have stuff to do. and they tell her, keep the gun here just in case anything happens, but you're good. So she's just hanging out in the cabin and she's going throughout their rooms and she goes into this room with like the bookshelves and she's just like looking on the bookshelves and she turns around and her stepdad is inside the house. And
Stop it. Stop it right now.
you knew he was going to be inside the house?
Yeah, I saw it coming
Yes.
too, but I didn't say anything because I'm polite.
So she turns around and her stepdad is in the house. So she grabs the gun, but before she can even make it to the gun, he hits her, but then he starts choking the shit out of her. And then he throws her to the ground. So he's, pissed, obviously. And so she finally gets the gun because she's on the ground and she goes to shoot him and the gun clicks. And then she goes to try to shoot him again and the gun clicks again.
Is it a revolver? What the hell?
The gun's not working. And then the
Oh,
stepdad
damned.
starts laughing hysterically. And he just goes, have you been enjoying yourself? What's the matter, Everly? Did they not make it at least a little bit enjoyable for you? I know they can be brutal assholes, especially Killian, but I would have thought you might actually enjoyed being used like a little cum slut. He goes, they're mine, Everly. Contract killers doing my bidding. Did you really think they were here for you? They were here for me, my loyal dogs. And she's like, you're lying. And he goes, am I? Look around you. Do you really think it's a coincidence that they aren't here right now? They left on my orders. I called them and told them that their time with you was over and to leave for the next job that I gave them. And he was just laughing. And then he smacks her across the head with a gun. And that's the end of the book.
Hold on. I have questions
Okay.
because you've had their POVs. So they didn't know that she was the prisoner of him.
Don't think so.
So even if he was their boss, they did not have that
she
connection.
doesn't know that
that
they
they
don't
don't know.
Right.
Oh my God.
But that got me, and I was like,
Because so
Hold up.
I thought he was gonna be in there because of course he was. There was a hint too because he had said everyone who's supposed to be in here has a
Has a
key.
key.
So of
Yep.
course he had a key.
yeah,
So we're reading that, right?
I need to read this book because I need to
When
know
does
what's
the
going.
did it say when
It just
the
says
full book comes out?
2024. No, it
Okay,
just
well
said
we need to
2024.
stalk this author because we're not gonna bully them, but we need to lightly encourage them
I
to give us
literally
a release date.
So
Gently encourage.
after I read that and
Gently
I was like,
encourage.
shit, it's darker than something I would have normally picked because I was thinking of doing the Backwoods Blackout. That was the other one I was gonna do. I really liked this for the whole thing and I enjoyed it. And I liked that little like turn at the end there. It was cool. So my favorite character was Gilman. That boy's mouth. Yes, please. I understand that he is gonna have some emotional issues at learning control, but you know what? It's okay. It's fine. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay, and I can teach him.
As far as a rating, I would probably give it like a 4 out of 5 for now. I'll see how the rest goes. Obviously, like I don't
Say
know.
it's hard to rate it when it's not the whole book.
Yeah, but as far as what I have right now, like I really want to read the whole entire thing. I want to read it. It
Yeah.
sounds really great. Smut wise, I am gonna go with like a 7 for what was in there. I didn't describe it much on here, but oh boy, maybe like a 7.5. I don't know. I was here for it. I wanted it all. It was great. And
I want it all.
can you show me? Sorry. So that was my story. That was Killing Snow by Marie Rose. And like I said, it did end on a cliffhanger, but it comes out in 2024. And
But
I loved it. I had a great time. And now time for the grand finale, guys. Grand finale with Ariel and her dramatics.
And if you do not need a dramatic rendition, you can just skip to the end. See how
Let's
easy
not
that
skip
is.
to the end because this will be great.
So I read Hot Chocolate and Hitmen by Persephone Steele and Luna May. And this also had a warning. This includes, but is not limited to, detailed and explicit sexual situations, BDSM, sub and dom elements, breeding kinks, swear words, extreme violence, gore, and torture. Please be warned that there are also explicit and detailed descriptions of dubcon/non-con, emotional manipulation, gaslighting, and cheating outside of the harem. The dedication to this book says, to all those going through a difficult time this festive period, just know there's always light at the end of the tunnel. It just comes from the form of 3 deliciously hot hitmen who know how to treat a woman right.
amen, sister.
Ooh.
So I'm going to be upfront. This book unexpectedly ends on a cliffhanger. This book starts with a prologue that has our female main character, Grace. As she looks around the room, her Christmas dinner is ruined. There are dead bodies galore. A dead man's head is stuffed right up the ass of a turkey. There's green bean casserole strewn across the floor. And she was very upset when she saw a little sugar cookie dog sticking out of the impaled eyeball of another dead man who just happens to be sitting in a bowl of mashed potatoes. But it's okay. She's not that worried when she finds out that the presents are just fine. They're just a little bloody. It's okay. They weren't ruined. So
at least there's some light at
all
the end of the tunnel,
is good. So that is our prologue. It's one of those books where we get a glimpse into the future of the book, which honestly is not my favorite kind of prologue, but here we are. And unfortunately, we never reach the prologue, but we'll get there. So the regular book starts out with a scene with Grace and Jason. She met Jason 3 years ago. Their first date was actually on Christmas, but it feels like things have been kind of cooling off lately. She feels he's been standoffish with her, and she just wants to rekindle and respark the romance. So she has bought for him for the holiday a romantic getaway. She booked this expensive, gorgeous cabin, has it fully stocked, and has the voucher ready to give him. And he's not happy about it. He's like, I don't want to go anywhere. Why can't we just stay here? And I was like, awesome. Great. So this guy's probably going to end up dead by the end of this, is what my first thought was. So she's a good convincer. She's very upbeat and positive, and she's pleading with him. She's like, it's our anniversary. Like, this is what we need. And she convinces him to go. And begrudgingly, he accepts the vacation. And as they're leaving, her best friend, Tina, is at the door because she's going to water the plants and house sit while they're gone. Tina's been weird with her lately too. I don't know. She feels like a weird moment. She just needs this vacation. So they have a long drive. Like I'm talking like a 12-hour drive. And this douche canoe is like silent or an asshole the whole time. Like 8 hours in, she tries to pull over to get food because she's been driving for 8 hours straight and is hungry. And she's like, I'm starving. We need to get food. And he's like, can't you just power through?
Kill him.
Like, I've been driving for over 8 hours. We need to eat or I'm going to drive into a ditch. He's like, fine. Just make it quick.
Can we kill him now?
Right?
I don't like him.
So they finally arrive at this gorgeous place, right? She's so excited. They even have this giant, like, 12-foot Christmas tree inside to decorate with all these decorations that you can do. And she's so excited because last year she had to try to drag a tree in all by herself. And her poor neighbor even tried to help her the last few feet when he saw her struggling. And she was worried about having to do it up in the snow in a cabin all by herself this year. And she's so excited. And this place has a hot tub and she's stoked. She's like, awesome. Let's go get in the hot tub. We got this. It's like re-energizing her from this long ass drive. Now this bitch, Jason, he's fucking tired from sitting in the car while she's been driving this whole way. So he just wants to go to bed. She's trying her best. And she's like, okay, it's okay. Like, make this work. And she tries to make him feel good a little bit. Starts like going down on him. It's taken a little bit, but then finally he puts his phone down and kind of gets into it a little bit. And then she tries to make it go further and tries to straddle him. And he takes her and flips her over. So she's on all fours, which kind of shocked her for a minute. And she's like, okay, I'm rolling with this. I'm rolling with this. And she just spent all that time getting him ready. Then he literally just plunges in full gait, no preparation, no nothing, and it is not pleasant. Does not wait either. So then she tries to stimulate herself to make it so it's not hurting. She's starting to get into it a little bit. So she's trying to like ramp up. Oh, like, yeah, Like, you got this? Trying to make
Aw.
him the fucking king of the world over here.
Poor people-pleasing baby.
But every time she speaks, even though all the words are to him, like pumping him up, he starts to get a little softer every time.
Throw the whole man out.
And then
Man
he
has a
gets
degradation kink
frustrated,
and
tells her to shut the fuck up, and shoves her face down into the bed so she can't reach herself anymore. And then just goes to fucking Pound Town
Cut his dick off.
and holds her the fuck down until he's done and then rolls over.
yeah, that's SA at that point.
This man is a piece of shit.
She's really upset, obviously, but she makes all kinds of excuses for him. Like, obviously, she's probably been doing their whole relationship. Oh, tomorrow will be better. We'll be fully rested. We got this, Goes to bed. So she gets up early in the morning and she makes like more food for breakfast than you could possibly imagine. Side note, Jason wants her to be a stay-at-home person and gets very frustrated with her if she works outside the home, which really kind of frustrates her, but she wants to make him happy. So she has really thrown herself into this role. Something simple as cooking breakfast, now she's making something for like 20 people. And she's like, it's okay. It'll keep in the fridge. We'll eat it all day. Like, we got this. He's not hungry when he comes down the stairs.
I swear to God, I would kill this man in his sleep.
And she's like,
Ah.
that's okay. Like, let's go for a walk. I want to check out all the beautiful stuff, like blah, blah, blah. Like all these plans that they could do while they're at this beautiful place. And she sees as he drops it that he brought his bag downstairs. And he's like, this trip was a bad idea. I'm leaving.
Your face was a bad idea. Get your fucking useless dick out of here.
And she's just like, what? Like, no, this is for us to, like, I don't want it. She's like, okay, let me go get my stuff. I'll go get my bag and we'll go. If you want to go, we'll go. No, I want to go alone. I'll send somebody back to come pick you up once I get back. And then she's like, I don't understand. Like, this trip is supposed to be helping us. Is a romantic getaway for our anniversary. Like, what is going on? I just want to be alone right now. Like, you can't just run away from this conversation. Like, you need to tell me if you want to leave this whole situation, you need to tell me what's going on. Called it from the second Tina walked up on that porch. He's been fucking Tina for months. He's bored of her. Tina does it better. Tina is not so glass half full kind of girl.
Oh.
Tina's not so sunshine all the time. It's grating.
So your dick going into my vagina without any foreplay is grating, you
He
douche.
says, it just happened. Tina understands me better. She's fun. You're too naive, too annoyingly happy all the time. It just grates on my nerves. He says, I'm done with you. I'm leaving.
We're all done with you.
And he goes to walk out, like, good riddance, fine. He goes to walk out. The door busts open, and 3 giant hulking men walk into the door with a duffel bag in their hands, a moving, groaning duffel bag that they plop onto the ground.
Oh, it's Tina. Sorry.
I mean, that would have been great. So, just to show you the kind of character this woman is, she just found out her boyfriend of 3 years has been cheating on her. He's about to leave her stranded in a faraway cabin. Strangers just show up with obviously a body inside a bag. And this woman sees one of them is bleeding down his arm. And she's, you're hurt. Let me help you.
Honestly, to be honest, that's what I would focus on too. Maybe I am the problem. Maybe it's me. It's like, obviously, priorities, right? There is a bleeding human in the room.
So she whisks away the hurting gentleman into the kitchen. And she's helping patch him up, and he can see that she's been crying. Her face is all puffy, and he's like, why are you crying? And no, I'm not crying. And she is leaning down to stitch him up, and he can see the bruised outline of a hand on the back of her neck from when she was held down last night. And he's like, what happened to your neck? And then he gets all feral, like, who hurt you?
Ugh.
And I was like, oh no.
Yes, this is what I was missing.
Yes, please.
And then he's intense that she's just like, Jason. And he's like, Jason? He gets up and walks back out to the living room area. What are you doing? And he calls her, my beautiful, sweet angel. And he says, balancing the scales.
Oh, this man
Yeah.
sounds great.
So Jason's in there. The guy goes right to go towards Jason. And she's like, no, wait, stop. And he's like, but he hurt you. And she's like, don't hurt him. It was during sex. It was an accident. It just got a bit rough, is all. And he's like, was it consensual? And then Jason, like the idiot he is like, Gracie, kind of like, what the fuck? And she's like, it's probably best that you shut up right now.
Hell yeah.
He's like, do you know these guys? Have you been fucking around on me?
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
He's not the brightest man, is he?
No,
So
this is something that cheaters do all the time. Because they're cheating, they think everybody's cheating on them.
Yep, the paranoia. And she's like, how dare you accuse me of that? I've been nothing but faithful. And she gets so frustrated, she just starts yelling at him. She's like, just go fuck yourself. And she never swears, so it's like a big deal. And she's the cutest little sub-ins for her swears. And he's like, yeah, maybe I should go, kind of thing. And he gets his bag and goes to leave. One of the other gentlemen, not the one who she was just patching up, is like, are you fucking serious? 3 strange, obviously dangerous men break into you and your ex-girlfriend's cabin, and you're going to leave her alone here with us? You didn't even try to get her to go with you? And he's just like, she's a big girl. Wrong answer. So then he tries to go, and then the other dude slams the door before he can get there. I'm sorry. You didn't really think we would let you leave, did you? And then he tries to run the other way. And they're all like, I love it when they try to run and they clothesline him.
That's amazing. I love it so much.
So down goes Jason. And he's just crumpled on the floor. And they're all like, what's that smell? And she's like, oh, I made breakfast. Are you hungry?
Well, thank God we got to see him dead. Anybody?
Oh man.
Bacon anybody? Like,
He's not dead, but yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. They get eating breakfast and enjoying themselves. And she's like, who are you guys exactly? Because she doesn't even know their names at this point.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're killers.
Okay, well, at least they're honest. At least they have a passion and a job.
Yep. They did clarify it to her a little bit after, once they realized she could handle. They are mercenaries for hire. They kill people who have proven harmful to others after they carefully scrutinize the evidence themselves to make sure it's valid.
Mhm.
So she's like, so you're like vigilantes? And they're like, sure.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Draw the cat, eyes sharp enough to kill him. That's 3, folks. That's 3.
She learns their names. The one that she stitched up in the kitchen is Atlas, and he is a giant Hulk of a man. And then there's Teddy, who is a big dude, but just isn't fucking Hulk sized. And then there's Key. Yes, his name is Key. And he's lean, but just normal sized kind of.
Lanky.
Yeah, lanky, but lean. And Teddy goes to get up from the table. The way he moves is not as fluid, and she's just like, you're hurt. Sit down right now. You need stitches. And they find out that she used to be a trained nurse and was an aspiring field medic before Jason made her quit, which makes them angry, very angry. And
angry too.
Yeah, very angry. She gets like enamored by these men, and she ends up telling the whole story, but by Teddy, really, because he's the only one in the room. The other 2 are taking care of business with the other 2 peeps. And they're tying those guys up, though they only have some Christmas lights. They're like, honey, do you have any rope? And she's like, there's some Christmas lights in the living room. Yep.
She's nothing
So
but helpful, you guys.
yeah. So she, enamored by Teddy, ends up telling him her whole relationship story with Jason. And the more she talks, the more frustrated he gets. And she asks, like, what are you guys doing here? Like, what's going on, kind of thing. Because they thought this cabin was supposed to be empty. Like, there was a whole thing, and somehow it was a mix-up or something. And it's kind of unclear. We didn't fully get that fleshed out. It might be to come, because this, yeah. So he's like, we're trying to find a couple's kidnapped daughter. The man that they're now putting upstairs was at the last known location. He was there tying up loose ends. So now we have him. We're trying to get information out of him. So the boys come back. The hostages are secure, and they see that the snow is coming down. They decide to go out to get firewood.
Ooh.
And they're like, do not leave this room until we are back. Leaving her in the kitchen. She's like, but, like, do you understand? She's like, yes. Good girl. Now make us some cookies.
What kind of cookies do you want and how many?
Like, as he's like licking her neck, biting her neck, like, good girl. Now go bake us some cookies.
Yeah, how many and what do you want?
Like, yeah, okay. So they go out. Luckily, this cabin is a luxury, so they already had all the wooden supplies already ready in a smaller little shed cabin. They called it like a little cabin, but it's like a shed.
It's a shabin.
They called it a cabin. They're like a little cabin, but it's like a big shed, I think. Because the
shabin.
snow is coming the fuck down. It is a lot. It's too much snow.
I don't know.
Too much snow. They get all that going, and then they go check on their hostages and make sure that everything's good. And she calls up to them, dinner's ready. And they were on their way, and she kind of starts to come up the stairs, and they're not a fan of that. And she's like, I know you have the guys up there. I was merely coming to see if they wanted. They don't get anything.
Okay.
She was trying to feed the prisoners.
I mean, honestly, I would feel pretty bad too. I wouldn't make them a plate, but I would like bring them water or something. I don't know, Geneva Convention. Yeah.
So they go downstairs, they have dinner, lots of wine with dinner. She's feeling a little tipsy enough that they all see that hot tub there, and it sounds like a mighty good idea.
Snowing so hard, they must be really cold in that shed.
Oh, they're not in the shed.
Need to warm up somehow.
They went to the shed to get supplies, then they came back in with them.
But it's snowing outside, and they need to warm up somehow.
Yes. Well, she's been wanting that hot tub, don't forget.
I mean, a hot tub sounds really nice.
They're like, no judgment. Do you want your clothes on or off in the hot tub? It's totally your call.
Baby, off.
Well, because, they're being sensitive to the situation.
Yeah, but they're hot, so off.
Back to our previous conversation.
So she also chooses off.
That would make this real awkward. Imagine going into a hot tub with all your clothes on, how uncomfortable that would be.
And they start like massaging her and like touching her. And then Teddy is all like going down on her and having a good time. And she is just having a good time. And then apparently they all just trade places, and they all don't stop touching her, because tonight is for her until she's like literally putty.
Homeless.
And then they soak in the hot tub and enjoy themselves until she falls asleep in Teddy's arms. And then Teddy takes her upstairs and puts her in pajamas and tucks her into bed and takes out the braid in her hair and rebraids it for her and puts her to bed.
So we all know who our favorite character is.
And they found out while she was drinking and sad that one of the things that made her sad about her life with Jason was when he took away the job, because the boys all discussed this afterwards when, she was asleep and stuff. When he took away her job, kind of thing, she was like, okay, well, I'm home, but I'm kind of lonely. She's like, maybe I can have a dog. I've always wanted a dog. This is a perfect time that I'm home, And he flat out said no and refused her a dog.
Jason so.
And they were so overly offended by her not having a dog. And they were like, Not letting her have a dog makes me just wants to punch his stupid face. Like, I'll get her anything she wants. Because Teddy had to give them all this information after she went to bed after they talked again. So now she's asleep, so they go to rough up the hostages.
They do all this sweet stuff, and then they're like, but we're gonna go do some bad things right now. It's okay.
The dichotomy of a man, I swear.
But they're hot.
Hot felons.
So they're trying to get information out of the other guy, so they've been really working him over. And then Jason, they're just like punching him around and just like, you know what I mean? And then they kind of release him and they're like, you're not going to look at Grace. You're not going to talk to Grace. You pretend she doesn't exist from here on out. And he goes to leave and they're all like, we're snowed in. You're not getting anywhere unless you can fly. Run along now. We'll be watching. So the next morning,
So they don't kill him, but they basically send him out to die.
they give him a message. Well, no, apparently they let him chill in the house. It's his choice to leave or not, but they rough him up good. He's all swollen and bruised, and I think they're kind of enjoying toying with him too.
You seem like the type.
Real quick, I feel like all the girlies who have been wronged by a J name are getting a retribution right now. Anyway, fuck you, Jason.
Well, the next morning they wake up and, Atlas is snuggling her in bed and it's super cute. And they all come in and they're all like, well, there seems to be a lot of decorations downstairs. Did you want to decorate? And she's just like, oh, it's all I've ever wanted. So they
It's all I've
spend.
ever wanted.
Yeah. Ariel's going more Disney with it. We're going
I
more
was, but
millennial.
that's good too. So it's all I've ever needed.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do now? We're gonna decorate. Okay, so they go and spend the morning decorating and making it all Christmasified downstairs and decorating the tree. And while they're decorating the tree, one of the boys finds some mistletoe in the decorations and they get super cute with their mistletoe. And they each take turns kissing her under the mistletoe.
Aww.
And it would be super awe if the next chapter was not in Jason's point of view.
What the fuck?
Right? I'm like, excuse me? Why does Jason get a point of view?
I don't care about Jason's point of view.
Get out of
Right.
here, buddy.
Unless
We don't
he
want
learned
you.
his lesson in the basement.
No, he saw the mistletoe scene and he is very angry. It's not great. He says a lot of nasty things to her. She was like worried because she saw his bruised up face and all of that. She's like, I just want to make sure you're okay. She like ran after him down the hall and he was like, you're just a fucking whore. And how many guys have you fucked since being with me? You're just so fucking willing. And he grabs her by the crotch hard and like squeezes and refuses to let her go until she like squeals, Jason, let me go. And that is probably what summoned the dogs because he's all like, come on, you little whore. Don't act like you don't want it now. You were begging for it just the other night. And
To get eaten by the dogs.
And apparently, it's like he knows though, because well, the dogs come and they grab his neck and
Good.
punch his lights out and leave him crumpled on the floor there. But he wakes up crumpled on the floor alone. And he's like, they mustn't have seen or heard what I said before they attacked me, just heard her exclaim. Otherwise, I doubt I would live to tell the tale. So but you're just,
I want him to
Terrible.
die.
he is angry and he decides to make his presence known around the house. So they're in there eating dinner. The boys, when he walks in, the boys all take the plates. Mind you, she makes enough for a whole fucking army. But they take all the serving dishes and like dump them onto their plates. And she doesn't notice because she's being fawned over. But
Ah, oblivious
he's,
love.
like, so angrily getting a frozen TV dinner out of the freezer and like slamming it around, making his presence known. And then when he's done eating, He turns around and the kitchen's empty, and that makes him even more mad. And he follows the giggling down the hall, and they're in the movie theater room watching a movie. And so he goes in there and makes his presence known in there. But, she doesn't really notice that much because their boys are keeping her distracted real well.
I bet you
One of
they give
them,
good foreplay and she's going to be wet enough for them.
and one of them comes over to rub that right in. And it's basically like, you could have had this. You chose to be an asswipe. Sorry, not sorry, motherfucker, kind of thing. And he's so mad. He's like, these thugs think they can slide into my place and take what's mine. Like, first of all, buddy, slow your roll.
You threw her
You
away before
didn't
they even
want her.
came into the picture.
Right. And he's like, this game ends now, one way or another. They've taken this too far. And
I
his
don't think
chapter
they've
ends.
taken it quite far enough.
No.
Honestly, I think you need to die. I've thought that the whole book, and I will
Right.
continue to think that.
So the boys are working on the hostage upstairs, trying to find information on the kidnapped victim. And Grace is downstairs. She knows that this is very important. They're doing important work. But she can't help but feel like all these screams and cries of pain are dampening her Christmas spirit a little. And so she's like, I know what I need to do. I need to spread some holiday cheer. So she goes and gets a platter together of a tray full of cookies and some hot chocolate for her boys. And she marches right upstairs, like, here's a sweet treat for you, like break time kind of thing, and walks right in the room. And actually, they're all excited about it for a minute until that fucking dumbass hostage opens his mouth and says nasty shit to her. He's basically calls her a whore and like, what a tasty little piece of ass.
First, you don't even know her. Like,
what are you doing with this trash? Why don't you ditch these losers and I'll show you what a real man can do? And then
I guess him and Jason must have had time.
Spits towards her tray of cookies.
No.
Oh, hell no.
That is her last straw.
That is her last straw?
She gets real quiet, straightens herself right up. The whole room goes silent. She calmly sets the tray aside, smooths her whole face, grabs one of the bunches of tinsel from the decorations on the thing, walks right up to the foul-mouthed prisoner and shoves it in his mouth. And she goes, there, much better. No more nasty words now.
Oh my God.
She's better than me. I would have used the tinsel choke him.
I was thinking she was going to choke him with it.
As she was stepping away, she accidentally bumped into a knife that apparently was sticking out of his shoulder. And he's all, ah! And she's like, oops.
Oh my God.
The boys found that very hot.
Of course they did.
So they stop everything they're doing right then and there. They just drop everything and they scoop her the fuck up and carry her off into the bedroom.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we get a 3-for-1 special.
No way.
3 holes, all 3 boys.
Yes.
Bang, bang, boom.
Love it.
And they have a great time and they're all like, let's get you a bath, get you cleaned up and relaxed. I just wanted to mention, she does make it very known to us that Jason's penis is a little cocktail sausage. And these men are not. I just thought we should know
Not
that.
only did she upgrade ×3, she really upgraded, even if it was just ×1. I love that for her. Go Gracie.
Yes.
I love that for her too.
And then everything is plunged into darkness. The lights have gone out.
That's weird. Because you're snowed in.
That might be it. They're like, okay, we need to go check the fuse box. But before we do, I just want to make sure the prisoner is secure. So he goes to check on the prisoner. The prisoner's gone. And so are the weapons they were using on him.
Jason. Fuck, man.
So they're concerned. They go back and they're like, okay, we need to get weapons from downstairs and we need to check the fuse box. Because originally they're like, it might have just been the storm that, took the power out, but they had to make sure. They say to Grace, stay in the bedroom, lock the door, do not open the door unless it's one of us telling you to open the door. Okay, great. And then they go off to get the weapons and then check the fuse box. The fuse box was clearly tampered with. It is not from the storm. And then there's lots of gunfire. Meanwhile, Grace is grabbed from behind.
Oh no.
She tries to fight the person off from behind.
Sorry.
She does pretty good, except when she gets a good hit in and they drop her, she lands really badly on her ankle and she can hear the crack,
Oh boy.
which gives them the time to grab her again and drag her into the bathroom. And then you just hear a voice, "They can't save you now."
Fucking hate this dude. Kill him.
To be continued. So, unfortunately, we will not get a resolution for this one for a while.
What's a while?
So, Persephone's mother-in-law, while writing this, lost her battle with cancer. And so they did not get to continue. So Luna May will be now finishing the rest of the book by herself. So it will take a little longer than originally planned. So she has it coming for Christmas of 2024.
Feel like an extra Christmas gift.
Yes. I very much enjoyed Teddy. I wish I had a whole book because this was a wild ride and it was fun. If I were to give it a rating thus far, I'd probably get a 4 thus far. I did have a slight like spacey typo, but nothing compared to the other stuff we've seen. But as far as Cucumber, again, it's hard because it's not a completed, but there were scenes, and I would give this probably a 5 with all of the different stuff that's going on and all the different men.
Nice.
But there's only 2 scenes, so on the scale, yeah, which is plenty for what this is, but if we're rating on the spicy scale. So we're going to be doing this again for volume 2. Volume 1 was, like we said, dark romances. Volume 2 is going to be paranormal themed.
Ooh.
I'm so excited.
Yes, I know. There's some good sounding ones on there.
I haven't even looked.
I haven't looked,
I'm gonna
but
be surprised.
I would reading them
Ariel
early in the
read
thing, yeah.
the titles for all of them,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of puns in the third one, but
Yeah, the third one is very punny. It's
the
all
third
like
one's
snow,
the
your vibe, yeah, the light and fluffy.
the crystal vibes. So thank you guys for joining us and Happy New Year. And
Yes, Happy
it's
New
still
Year.
gonna be a wild year.
oh yeah.
As with us, you always get a wild ride.
Well, we have our snowed in January.
Yeah.
Our 1-year anniversary is in March.
Woo!
So
Ah,
that's crazy. I'm going to a readers conference in April in Denver, so I'll be there.
To see so many amazing people.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited for
Awesome.
you.
And it's going to be an interesting year this year, I feel. So
and we appreciate you reading with us or listening along. Make sure you keep reading.
keep it smutty.
In the corner.
I love you,
Yes.
Angie. Love
And I'll
it.
continue crashing these ever so sporadically.
Love it.
Cause I'm not afraid.